If you find yourself relocating to the Bellevue or the Seattle area and you want to avoid the most costly mistakes that I see buyers make all the time, then this video is for you. If you don't know me yet, I'm Matthew Chapman. I'm a Seattle area realtor who helps people just like you relocate to this region all the time. And I want to help you navigate this market with confidence. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what buyers often get wrong, and I want to help you avoid those traps. And I think you'll find out that it's less about timing the market and it's more about getting ready for the market. So let's start with the first mistake that I often see buyers make, and that is what I call window shopping without a plan. So I see a lot of people start browsing online casually, and sometimes they even attend open houses without an agent. And then what happens inevitably is they fall in love with a house that they're really not ready to buy. Most likely, these buyers have not reached out to a lender. They don't have a pre-approval letter. They don't have an offer strategy. They don't have an agent lined up, and they simply miss out on the home that they love. And let me tell you something, that first home becomes the one that they compare everything else to. And they often call it the one that got away. And if we can avoid that, and if you can get the one that you fall in love with at first, then that is a winning scenario for you. So my advice is this: if you're serious about buying, even if it's a few months out or even a year out, my advice would be to get your plan together now, because then you can act and you can take your time and you can browse casually. And if you fall in love with something, you'll be ready for it. That brings me to the second mistake I see buyers often make, and that is having champagne taste on a beer budget. This is something that my mother-in-law kind of coined this phrase when my wife and I were in our younger years, and we would go shopping for homes and we would fall in love with these homes that we really couldn't afford. And we had to have a reality check, and we had to have a transparent conversation about really what we could afford and what areas we might be limited to within that budget. Now, I will say that this is super common, having champagne taste on a beer budget. We all want that luxury item and we all want to pay less for it. But let's just say that you're pre-approved for 1.3 million, but you're shopping for homes that are in the 1.5 to 1.6 million. And I'll just say right now that that's a recipe for disappointment. And we really want to avoid that at all costs. So before we start touring anything, what I often do with my clients is I hop on a Zoom call and I share my screen with them and I show them what the sold properties are in their price range, for their bedroom count, for their square footage. And I'll tell you, that visual right there tells you what areas you're most likely going to end up in. And it'll tell you if you're being realistic, because if your budget is for 1.3 million and you want to live in Medina and you want a 4,000 square foot house, you'll see real quick there are 0 options, and there has never been anything like that in Medina in the last few years. So, but it will show you perhaps that maybe in Bothell or in Kenmore that you can find that home, and you'll see those homes populate on the map and you'll get a real good idea. And what I find is that this exercise with my clients really sets the expectations for them, so it gives them the confidence that they can actually find the home and they can shop with a new level of empowerment so that they can go out and just find success that they want. Now, mistake number 3 that I often see buyers make is getting hung up on the deal rather than the value of the home itself. Now, hear me out here. Sometimes I'll say that it's not about getting the best price. It's actually about getting the right house. History tells us that if you buy a house in this area and you live in it for at least 5 years, actually even probably 3 years, that you're going to do well on the appreciation spectrum. The house is going to appreciate because if you look at the last 80 years here, we have an average appreciation rate of 6.9%. So if you hold on to that house for 3 years, even if we have setbacks, you're probably going to do okay. 5 years, there's even more of a guarantee that you're going to do just fine. So instead of trying to get the best deal and missing out on the house and maybe having to overpay later, I think you really need an expert at the helm that really tells you the true value of the house and that does a market analysis and tells you really what the market is saying about that house. And even if you have to overpay, in my opinion, for that house, $5,000 to $10,000 on a $1.3 to $1.6 million in the next 5 years, that's really a very small amount. So my advice is do what it takes to get the house if you truly love it, if you feel like it's a great fit for your family, even if it's overpaying by $5,000 to $10,000, because in the long run, you're going to do just fine. So the fourth mistake that I often see buyers make is they assume that the list price is the finish line, when it's actually, sometimes it's just the starting point. Now, we are seeing a little bit of a slower market right now in the greater Seattle area, but there are still homes out there, actually about 20 to 30%, depending on what neighborhood you're in, that are still selling for well above asking price. And so if you fall in love with one of those competitive homes and you think that the list price is just the finish line, I'm here to tell you it's just the starting point. And sometimes you need to know that agents are listing that house low intentionally to get a bidding war. And so my expectation is when you look at the data, we can actually really see that most homes, if they're in a bidding war, they're going to go up 5 to 12%. And how do we know that? Well, we look at the comparable properties, and it's also just by having enough years of experience in the game and having a good realtor at the helm that can advise you. But that is the general rule of thumb. It's not a black and white rule, but I will tell you that that list price is not the finish line in the competitive space. And just one side note about that, I will say that it doesn't mean that you have to overpay for the home. The list price may not actually be the fair market value. The fair market value of the home might be $100,000 above list price. And I've seen that so many times on so many occasions that you really need somebody, a trusted guide that can guide you through this process to make sure that you're not overpaying and you're actually paying the fair market value. Now, mistake number 5 that I see buyers make is simply waiting for the perfect market. Now, this one hits hard right now. I see buyers just on the sidelines right now, and I think it's a mistake. And really, they're waiting for interest rates to go down, and they're waiting for home prices to fall and for the market to plummet. And oftentimes they just stay on the sidelines and they really never get off the sidelines and get in the game to own the house. This one hits hard, I know. We all want lower interest rates. We all want the home prices to go down, and we all want less competition. But here's the truth. No one has a crystal ball. And while you wait, prices go up, homes disappear, and you stay stuck. I recently saw a couple for the second time at an open house that I was holding open for a client, and I asked them, hey, what's going on? Why haven't you bought in a house? And they said they were scared about the market, interest rates going up, and they were hoping that home prices would go down. Well, I'm here to tell you, I saw them 6 months ago, and they are stressing out because it's been 6 months and they haven't got a house. And so then I just asked them, point blank, I said, can you afford the monthly payment? And they said, yes. Well, my answer to you, friends, is if you find yourself on the sidelines, it might be a mistake. If you find that dream house and you can afford the monthly payment, because my advice would be to marry the house, date the rate, and go into that house with a long-term perspective, and just to know that it's going to appreciate over 5 years. And I would say this, if you're not an investor, I'm not speaking to the investors right now, I'm speaking to the person that is moving into that home, then you're going to do well. And it's hard to time the market perfectly. Nobody can do that. And so just take your time and ask the question, can you afford the monthly payment? And if the answer is yes, it might be time to go and get that house. Mistake number 6 that I see buyers make is that they search for the perfect house. I am here to tell you right now, 100%, that there is no perfect house. I know that might be a little bit controversial, but hear me out. What I do is I ask my clients, when we tour homes together, I say, how would you rank this house on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the perfect house? And I will tell you that I've never heard a 10, but what I do hear is 7s, 8s, and 9s. I've also heard 1s and 2s, but I will say that, in my opinion, if you find a house that is an 8 or a 9, that is a house that you might want to consider, because there's something that you can do to that house after you move in to make it a 10. So go after that house and just know that there's probably not a perfect house. And if you're just waiting and waiting for that perfect house to arrive, you might actually never get one. Now, mistake number 7 that I often see buyers make is really not exploring the whole region. Especially I'm talking to you out-of-town buyers that are relocating to this region. You might have been to Bellevue, but you might really not have spent much time in the suburbs around Bellevue. You might not have been to Bothell. You might not have been to Issaquah, or you might have just taken Seattle off your list altogether, and you might not have explored neighborhoods like Queen Anne and Fremont and Blue Ridge. And I would say that take time to explore the whole region. And my advice for the out-of-towners is that if you really want to know the vibe of a neighborhood, is get in your car, go drive there, or get on Google Maps if you're out and about, and just check it out. Go explore. And better yet, if you can actually visit and walk the ground and go to the grocery store. It sounds kind of odd, but if you go to the grocery store, you're gonna get a real gut feel of the people there, if it's your vibe, if this is kind of your place, and you're gonna know if this is a neighborhood that you wanna put on your radar that wasn't on your radar previously. And the final mistake that I see buyers make all the time is really going at it alone. I often see buyers walking through open houses, they don't have realtors, and realtors see over hundreds of houses a year. So you really need somebody that's by your side that can point out things about specific neighborhoods and homes, that can be your expert on the field and show you things that maybe you don't see about the value or lack of value in the particular home that you're going after. And also, there are just so many things that you can and you can't do when it comes to a contract and negotiation. And so you really need an expert at the helm that's telling you what you can and cannot do, and letting you make all the decisions, empowering you to be the one that's making those decisions so that you can find the house and shop confidently and land the home of your dreams. In closing, I'll just say this, that buying a house in the greater Seattle region can be really intimidating and it can be stressful. And I actually want to help mitigate that stress for you. So if you're relocating to this region, or if you're considering coming to this region, even if it's a year from now, feel free to call me. My number's right there. I get people that call me all the time that are relocating from Florida, from Texas, from all over the states, even out of the country. And they just want my take on certain neighborhoods, or maybe they fell in love with a particular house online and they just want my take on that. Happy to do video tours for you as well. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me out. And I'm Matthew Chapman, and I'll see you next time.